Welcome back, everyone. As promised, this will be my quarterly season power rankings. I did one after week 5. Then I said I would do one after week 10, which will be this one. And as I said, I'll do one after week 14 and after week 18. I will also be coming out with my week 11 game picks video as well, so keep an eye out for that. In fact, I'm going to record that video right after this video, and I'm going to release them both before Thursday Night Football. And of course, come join me for Thursday Night Football for my live stream watch along. If you're out there alone watching football like me, come join me. Let's talk some football. And for those of you who are watching with me during Monday Night Football, I am so sorry about that. We're getting a whole bunch of early snow here in Montreal, and it caused a power outage. Fortunately, I was able to at least finish watching the game on my phone. Eagles got the W, but enough about that for now. Here's my power rankings. Let's get right into it. At number 32, it's no longer the New York Jets. Now, without a further ado,
drum roll, please.
The Tennessee Titans get the privilege to be the worst team in the league. Tennessee, the only one-win team left in the NFL, honestly just feel like they're on autopilot and they're playing for the number 1 pick again. Other than their quarterback, Cam Ward, who looks a lot worse than he should, and frankly, let's face it, he looks worse than he should because he's on the Tennessee Titans, and maybe a couple of other pieces, this team needs a complete overhaul. And for that reason, they're going to be ranked 32nd in this episode of the Power Rankings. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints ranked number 31. The Saints, in my opinion, even though they just got a win against the Panthers, are basically the NFC version of the Titans. They too seem to be cruising by the season, hoping they land the number 1 overall pick. Now, considering the Tennessee Titans already have a franchise quarterback now, or at least are supposed to, and the Saints, desperately in need of a franchise quarterback, could probably still get one at number 2. But that's draft talk. Get into that another time. For now, for basically all the same reasons I had with the Tennessee Titans, the Saints are ranked number 31. Ranked 30th, we have the New York Giants. The New York Giants have just fired Brian Daboll. After a 2-8 start in his 4th season, the Giants have had enough. Mike Kafka, the former quarterback, will take over as the interim head coach, so it seems like the Giants will also just kind of cruise by after some really disappointing losses. They have some nice, really promising young pieces, but for now, it looks like they're destined to be a top 5 pick. Ranked 29, we have the Cleveland Browns. Now, you might be a little surprised that I haven't said the Jets yet. However, keep watching and they're coming up pretty soon. I couldn't put a team that just lost to the Jets above them. Obviously, I am talking about the number 29th ranked Cleveland Browns. The Browns are another one of those organizations that just do not seem to know what they're doing. They traded their best quarterback in the division, and now they're starting their second best quarterback over their best quarterback. Or at least we wouldn't know because they're not even giving the poor guy a chance. Myles Garrett made a huge mistake taking the money over a possible ring. All I can really say that it's just another dumpster fire season. As I mentioned, the New York Jets right up next. They're going to be ranked number 28 in this quarterly rankings. They should be a lot lower on the list. I'm probably not going to lie. However, they just recently were able to get a couple of nice, decent little wins. So I felt a little inclined to boost them up just a little bit. At least for now, I fully expect them to fall back down. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders, a team many people had a lot higher hopes for when the season started. You got Hall of Fame coach Pete Carroll. They had what we thought was a resurgent Geno Smith. They had Brock Bowers. They drafted Ashton Genty. Sky was the limit for the Raiders. However, that sky fell down real quickly. They didn't have Bowers for a big chunk of the season. The defense has not been as good as in years past. Not that it was really all that good anyways. Max Crosby seems to be the only good thing out of it. So unless they can start pulling off some wins, they're going to be ranked 27th. Ranked 26th, we have the Washington Commanders, another team with way higher hopes to start the season. How could you not? You had the superstar rookie quarterback, a team that went from worst to first, making it to the NFC Championship game. This year, however, Jaden Daniels has regressed, and of course, the bigger part have been the massive injuries to him. Considering just how jam-packed the NFC is, I don't see the Commanders making the playoffs this year. In fact, I would not even be surprised if they finished last in the division. Ranked 25th, we have the Miami Dolphins. I know they're coming off that big win against the Buffalo Bills. However, that is a division game, and they always play them tough at least once a year. After next week, once the Bills win and the Dolphins lose again, nobody's even going to remember that game. The Dolphins have just been an absolute mess this season. Their only bright spot has been their running back, Devon Achane, who I, thank God, drafted again this year in fantasy. The Dolphins, I think, are one of those teams that can come back strong next season, possibly. However, this season, it's pretty much over. They're done for. So they're going to be ranked 25th. Next up, we have another NFC East team, the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, they traded Micah Parsons before the season started. Now, we won't know for a while if that trade is going to pay off or not. However, at least for this season, it has definitely not paid out. Dallas has one of the worst, if not the worst, defense in the league. And although their offense has been good for most of the season, they've had to deal with little injuries from here and there. But frankly, they're just not a good team. They're going to be ranked 24th this episode. After that, we have the team that just beat the previous team, the Arizona Cardinals. They're probably the last team I think have no shot of making the playoffs anymore, mostly because of the division they're in. Been another weird season for the Cardinals where their defense is actually above average. However, their offense cannot do anything at all. I really think this is the last season that Kyler Murray is a Cardinal unless there's a complete regime change and they decide to keep him. I think there's a lot of changes coming in Arizona, and for that reason, I have them ranked 23rd. Ranked 22nd, we have the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons have had maybe one of the most bizarre seasons so far. They've beaten some really good teams, and they've lost to some really bad teams. The only reason why they're still in playoff contention, I think, is because their division. I don't think they're going to win the division. Falcons still have a lot of things to work on, and that's why they're ranked 22nd. Ranked 21st, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. I completely understand if you think they should also be a lot lower on this list. However, Joe Burrow is coming back soon, and we all know what he can do with this team. Plus, we've seen it before. Burrow comes back. He leads a late season surge. The only reason why they've missed playoffs in the past is because of their slow start. However, technically, they started fast this year. So, again, weird season, would not be shocked to see them make the playoffs. However, still, they're going to be ranked 21st because there's a lot of good teams. Ranked 20th, we have the Minnesota Vikings, another team that's had a really weird season. Coming into this season, they expected JJ McCarthy to be their franchise quarterback. Instead, he got injured in week 2. After that, we got a good dose of Carson Wentz. However, that experience did not work, mostly because he had an absolutely bum shoulder. So they were forced to go back to JJ McCarthy. He got a big win, but then this past week, he got a big loss against the Ravens. So honestly, the Vikings are right there kind of in the middle of the pack. I think they're one of those teams that are just like hanging by a thin string just to even have a chance at playoffs. So they're going to be ranked 20th. Next up, the Houston Texans. They're going to be ranked 19th. I feel like there's a good chunk of teams in this range that is just like the exact same situation. The Houston Texans, a team many thought would run away with the division. They have not lived up to the hype this season. Their defense, however, has been playing lights out and have been a top 5 unit in my eyes all season. However, their offense has just been absolutely stinky.
A smelly smell that smells smelly.
They're a team, I think, late in the season, if the Colts start to collapse a little bit, they can probably take over because they're still a really well-coached team. And if CJ Stroud and that offense can start clicking, I think they can make some damage late in the season. For now, they're going to be ranked 19th. I need to see more. Ranked 18th, we have the Carolina Panthers. Copy-paste exactly what I said about the Falcons. Paste it on the Panthers. Let's move on. Ranked 17th, right in the middle of the pack, we have the Baltimore Ravens, a team many people thought were going to walk right into the Super Bowl. However, they had a disastrous start to the season. Then they lost from Lamar Jackson for a good chunk of the year. They still have a very good chance to win the division, especially with the strong team they have. I do think they probably end up winning the division. However, right now they have a really big mountain to climb, so let's just see them make those few steps. Next up, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers ranked 16th. Obviously, the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, are perennial winning record team. They, as of this moment, hold the division lead in the AFC North. However, as you just heard me say before, I do think the Ravens end up winning the division. And I do think it's going to be really tough to make the playoffs as a wild card this year, whether you're from the NFC or AFC. I don't think the Steelers are going to end up a playoff team. I do think they're going to regress, possibly even have their first losing season in a very long time. Next, we have the unpredictable Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags are a team that should probably be playing a lot better than they are. I do think they have what it takes to end up making the playoffs. I could be wrong as well. That would not surprise me. If they do miss the playoffs, I think it's because the Colts do absolutely just run away with the division and they just don't have a good enough record to make a wild card. So I have them ranked 15th, and coming up, I think, are the real playoff and possible Super Bowl contenders. At 14, we probably have the team that dropped the most since my last video. I'm talking about the Green Bay Packers. To start the season, they look like an absolute juggernaut. The last 2 weeks have not looked that way. They lost a terrible game to the Carolina Panthers at home, and now they just lost this past Monday night to the Eagles, 10-7. They're a team that seems to be getting worse. Don't get me wrong, their defense has played absolutely lights out, especially with the addition of Parsons. But I'm sorry, Jordan Love seems to look like the problem more than the solution. Now, I would not argue with you if you wanted to rank the Packers higher than the 49ers. However, I just cannot do it. The 49ers have been dealing with a hell of a lot more injuries than the Packers, yet they have a better record. If the 49ers can get healthy, and they can get healthy right around playoff time, I think they can be a very sneaky, dangerous team. And for that reason, I have them ranked 13th. Next, I have a team probably surprising a lot of people at this point in the season. I'm talking about the Chicago Bears. They've won 6 of their last 7 games. Caleb Williams has 4 fourth-quarter comebacks this season already, and he's starting to look like the franchise quarterback the Bears have always dreamed of. I do think they can be a sneaky surprise team in the playoffs. Maybe pull a Commanders and surprise everyone, just maybe, and make it in the NFC Championship game, barring some miracles. Now, I don't see it happening. I'm just saying anything can happen. I do like what I'm seeing from the Bears, especially considering their defense hasn't been playing extremely that well. But look out for the Bears to be a sneaky team. Ranked 11th, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a team that I think could be and should be ranked a lot higher. However, they haven't been playing as well lately. Obviously, injuries have been a huge factor this season, and you do have to give them props for what they've accomplished with those injuries. I just could not put them in the top 10. Though I have them ranked 11th, I do think they win the division, considering it's maybe one of the worst divisions in football. I do also see them possibly winning a wild card game, because you just never know. Baker Mayfield was playing at an MVP level, but I do not see them as Super Bowl contenders anymore, and I just could not put them in the top 10. Into the top 10 we go, and at number 10, I have ranked the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs, even though a perennial Super Bowl contender and usual winner, I cannot put them higher than 10th. They are not the juggernaut team they used to be, and they're certainly not a juggernaut team this year. With a record of 5-4 up to this point, they're on pace for their worst record under Andy Reid in a long time. Obviously, once playoffs roll around, they can end up in the top 3 of the power rankings, heck, even number 1 if they win the Super Bowl again. And if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you could just never rule that out. So obviously I could not put them lower than number 10, but right now I could not put them ranked higher than number 10. So number 10 it is. And at number 9, we have the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills, another team that should be ranked higher. The Buffalo Bills, another team that should be ranked a lot higher on these rankings. However, after that devastating, horrible blowout loss to the Miami Dolphins, they dropped significantly. Okay, not that significantly, however, they drop a good amount. Maybe they were just gassed after having played a huge, important game versus the Kansas City Chiefs. However, that's not really an excuse. The Miami Dolphins, especially this season, are a team that should have been an easy W for a Super Bowl aspiration team. Obviously, by my next ranking video, I expect them to be back in the top 5. However, right now, I have them ranked 9th. All right, getting closer to number 1 here. Ranked number 8, I have the Los Angeles Chargers, another team that has been up and down for most of the season. However, I think they just had their most complete game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Their defense played an absolute amazing game, and their offense also played really well when they needed to. Justin Herbert is quietly having one of the better quarterback seasons considering how much he's been pressured and hit. I think once they get Amari and Hampton back in that backfield, even though Vidal has played great, their offense is going to get an even bigger boost. If their defense can keep at a high pace in that points against average, I think the Chargers are going to have no problem waltzing into the playoffs and possibly making a deep playoff run. Ranked 7th, we have the Detroit Lions. What can I say about the Detroit Lions? Last season, they were an absolute juggernaut. This season, for most of the season, they've looked like a juggernaut. They've had lost some pretty nasty games versus the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, they had that bad season opener loss versus the Packers as well. I just think there's teams that are on bigger winning streaks or have just played a lot better consistently throughout the season that deserve higher rankings, at least just for now. And one of those teams on those winning streaks is the Denver Broncos. They're currently on a 7-game winning streak and 8-2 record. Yes, they've needed a couple of miracles to win those games, but a win is a win no matter how it looks. And at the end of the season, all you're trying to do is get enough wins to make the playoffs. The Broncos currently lead the division with the 8-2 record. Behind them with the 7-3 record is the Chargers. The only reason why I have them ranked 6th and out of the top 5 is because Bo Nix is probably the worst quarterback of this top 5 to 6 group. I think the quarterbacks in the top 5 are playing at a lot higher level than Bo Nix. So that's the only reason why I have the Broncos ranked 6th. Ranked 5th, I have the Indianapolis Colts. Now, for most of the season, their offense has been easily their best offense in the whole league, averaging well over 30 points a game. Jonathan Taylor should easily be in the top 2 for MVP vote. 100% is going to be Offensive Player of the Year. As of the making of this video, they are the number 1 seed in the AFC. I don't think they're going to finish as the number 1 seed in the AFC. Now, the AFC team I have ranked higher. I don't think they're going to finish as the number 1 seed either. However, I would not be shocked either if they do. For now, I have the Colts ranked 5th. I think their playoff inexperience at the end of the day is going to be what's going to lift them down. They are going to make the playoffs. They will win the division. They are playing absolutely amazing right now, so they're ranked 5th. No, I do not have the Philadelphia Eagles ranked number 1. I know. I'm sure a lot of you thought I was going to be biased, but I'm not. I'm not biased. Tell it how I see it. The Eagles, even though they've had a lot of offensive struggles throughout the year, their defense Monday night had played at an absolute championship caliber type defense. Like, that was an insanely good game. Their offense obviously did enough to win the game. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. They know how to win. They're going to get hot at the right time. I just know it. So I have the Eagles ranked 4th. Ranked 3rd, I have the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots have just done an absolute incredible turnaround this season. They spent a lot of money on defense. Obviously, it's worked. Starting to really miss Milton Williams a whole lot right now, especially that he's gone, playing amazing over there in New England. But I'm happy for him. Drake May so far is easily looking like the best quarterback of the last 2 classes. Look, the Patriots are 8-2, absolutely like maybe the hottest team in football right now. Just not as hot as these next 2 teams, so I have them ranked 3rd. So that leaves us to our top 2, and honestly, you can switch these top 2 if you wanted. I would not bat an eye. I would not argue one bit. Right now, I have Seattle Seahawks ranked 2nd in the league. They just absolutely demolished their opponent this past weekend. Defense looks like an absolute unit. Darnold and the JSN connection looks like one of the best connections we've seen in years. They're right on top there of the NFC with the Eagles and the Lions, and of course, this next team I have coming up. Of course, it's going to be a team in the same division. It's easily the best division in football this year. So I have the Seattle Seahawks ranked 2nd in this episode. And now, finally, this is going to bring us to who I have ranked number 1. I'm sure you can all guess who it is by now, but I still want a dramatic reveal. So please, drum roll. Yes, it's the Los Angeles Rams. they're going to be ranked number 1 in this episode of the Power Rankings. Matthew Stafford absolutely is playing an MVP level right now. I think at this pace, he will win the MVP because we all know it's a quarterback award anyways. Other than that, their defense is playing at an extremely high level as well. And honestly, I think if they play any of these other top 5 teams right now, tomorrow, they would win. Still, congratulations to the Rams. And again, I would not argue with you one bit if you wanted to put Seattle in this number 1 spot, or honestly, maybe even the Colts or Patriots as well. But still, these are my rankings video. This is what I think. Still, thank you so much for joining me in this video. Let me know what you think of my rankings. Let me know your rankings. As always, do not forget to subscribe. I'll see you for my picks video. Before I head out, here's a quick look at my entire power rankings for this week. Again, thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to join me for my Thursday night watch along. And of course, this weekend when the Eagles play the Lions, that's going to be a huge game. And Monday Night Football, as long as I don't get any more power outages. Have a good week. I'll see you in my picks video.